Welcome guys to the preview for year 5 in the XBA. Things are moving along, guys. Now let's get into the rosters. We're just going to show you guys where these teams stand at this point in time. And we'll start with the Philadelphia Bruisers with Fox, Diamantakos, Rosado, Lucas, and Turner. My opinion of Philly, and you'll see this when we get to the bench, is their depth, obviously. That really stands out with Pogtakon, Tybal, Mannion, Oubre, Favors, and Steven Adams, who is regressing at a very high rate. Rudy Hollow, the rookie. We'll see if they can get some minutes somewhere in there. Obviously, it's a deep lineup, but we'll see if, injuries are going to happen. That's part of the game. Cincinnati Chili Dogs expansion team. We have Marcel McFly, Killian Hayes moving to shooting guard. Season overall bump. We have Wally Kane, Shaman Hargrove, and Stanislav Floka, known for his offense and his shot. So Hargrove, the number 1 overall pick, and McFly, I believe it was 5th. Devontae Graham on the bench will be their 6th man. Willie Cauley-Stein finally getting some minutes. You got Bates, Diop, Thaddeus Young, along with Carmelo Anthony. So some veterans on the bench who know what they're doing. A younger starting 5. We have custom players on this team. So Norman Powell, Eric Gordon going to round out the reserves for the Chili Dogs. 15 players deep. That's what they're looking like. Nashville Tempo, the team that I think is going to have a role to play in the Western Conference. I would think that they have to be one of the favorites. We have Sanchez, Price, and Durant. And that trio has been very good for them in recent seasons. McClure as the 6th man up to a 79. Kleber 78. Jeff Jefferson saw a big bump from XBA 2. He's now up to a 77. You see him there. No hair with the headband. Vincent Poirier, Satoransky, Michael Fisher picking up a few minutes a game in his rookie year. And they also have Dennis Hinnerich there possibly. And Wilson Chandler, somehow he's not retiring. He doesn't want to go away. BC Chicago, a team that got a little bit of a makeover in this offseason, especially at point guard. You're going to see Chris Paul still in an 82 overall. I think right now he's got to be 37 or 38 at this point in 2023, the fall of 23, somewhere around there. Hiroshi Okada at a 77, so he's seeing some significant minutes at point guard. I want to see what he can do. See what he can do for the offense. Like, he's got a good pass, can really engineer a lot of good things for the Chicago team. Columbus Basket Hounds, we have Bernard Colvin, still at a 78, so he's not really progressing very much. But we know that he's got some skills, and he's done a very good job at point guard for this Columbus team. A few players for Columbus are going to be up for free agency at the end of the year. That will be RJ Barrett and Zion Williamson, along with Montrezl Harrell. This is the year to make it count, and this is our first Euro guy, Euro free agent out of Bosnia, Tomislav Lonkar. We're going to see how he plays. I've never seen him play in action before, but he's 77. We'll see how he does. Andrew Donovan, a lot of point guards on this team. So there's a lot of guys coming for Colvin's minutes. So Colvin's got to keep it up. All right, the Toronto Stags, Fred VanVleet, Markelle Fultz, Juan Bautista Larrazabal, Mason Hendricks, and DeAndre Ayton. So Ayton was the big get for this team. It's a good starting 5, I think. I mean, but the problem is most of these teams, with the way our progressions has sort of shaken out, maybe our draft classes that were possibly too good. Guys like Sekou at an 81, when in real life he's like a G League guy right now. You know how the progression works out. So a lot of guys are hovering in that 78 to 81 range. So maybe that's not as impressive as it would have been 3 years ago with a lineup full of 80s. We're going to see how they do. I mean, they were bad last year, Boston Pilgrims. But we'll see how the progression goes. The Leopards not going away. They lose Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin. They're going to replace Drummond with Nurkic. Christian Wood's going to slide into that starting role at power forward. Rolando Bishop, going to see a slight uptick in minutes, but he'll be the 6th man off the bench in Fleck and Gentry. So it's a team in LA. They drafted very young at the initial XBA draft, and then they went, they selected very well in the rookie drafts. So we'll see how that goes. Pittsburgh Paladins are going to lose Malcolm Brogdon. They signed Roscoe Todorovic at an 85. Max Ross right now looking to be their top shooting guard. Cam Reddish going to get significant minutes there. Reddish was big for this team in that championship almost championship season a couple of years ago. AJ Creighton also at point guard. So they got a couple point guard options with him and Jacoby Bruce. So there's going to be a battle to figure out who wants that shooting guard role. I mean, obviously Dinwiddie can slide over. Is it going to be Ross, Creighton, or our guy Bruce? So we'll see how that goes. St. Louis with Buddy Mayer at point guard. Phoenix Wah Little progressing very well. Randall up to an 85 and Bamba 86 and Pierre 84. So Pierre was kind of the backup plan if Randall decided to leave St. Louis. He decides to re-sign, so that'll put Pierre right now as the 6th guy, and that's a very good player to have as your 6th man. And KJ Summers, they want to get him some minutes as well. Your champions of last year, the Atlanta Olympians, they're going to start Azari Woods at point guard. That's a big leap for Azari Woods. He was an early 2nd-round draft pick, played in XBA 2 a couple of years ago, and now he is a starting point guard. They could go with Derrick Rose. Jabari Jackson, also a possibility. Edwards George, maybe a little bit too young, but he's picking up minutes at point guard as well. Could go with Rose, but we know where the future is for Atlanta, and they think they might have something with Azari Woods. So they're going to see how that works. It's going to be a downgrade from John Wall, but maybe some upside there. All right, the Miami Night Owls could be one of your best starting 5s in this league. Gilgeous-Alexander, Donovan Mitchell, Tatum moving back to small forward, which is big. Calvin Hobbs impressed in our rookie game at a 78 and Sabonis at an 84. So they lose Vucevic, and they might actually upgrade because Sabonis, he's got Vucevic by a couple of years. So I don't like the bench. Bench for Miami, fairly weak. Starting 5, very strong. One of the better ones in the league. Definitely a contender in Miami. We have a team with the Fly Guys, probably kind of in rebuild mode. Preston Burnside going to start at small forward at a 76. So they're going to hope that he is a productive 76 as he has to fill in for LeBron James. Daniel Rudd was a sleeper, maybe a snub. He fell down the draft board a little ways, and he's going to get some minutes for Carolina in his rookie year at a 75. Going to get those minutes over Shamet and Kennard. Joe Harris is going to get a few minutes for the veteran three-point shooter. I don't like this roster. I think Carolina's going to have some issues. I mean, when you remove LeBron James, it's really what this team had going for it, and now he's not there. A team that is very young, a team that might have some upside next year. I don't want to say this year. Vancouver Vortex. A lot of guards. You got Hyde and Leonard. They signed DJ Anthony in free agency. Still have Dillard getting 20 minutes. Nash, their first-round pick at 20 minutes again. Joe Beck. We're waiting for him. Waiting. There he is. Joe Beck with the man bun. 15 minutes a game right now. LaBelle at 15. Isaiah Thomas saw a nice little spike from XBA 2. And with that decision to go with Thomas, their first-round pick, no AJ Menendez. They have Dozier and Prince. Poor Dozier and Prince at reserve for Vancouver. Menendez at a 76 overall. He'll start the year in Portland and see how he goes. All right, the Las Vegas Jacks. Jaylen Brown going to play small forward for this team. This is a team that's extremely deep, a team that I expect to contend for the playoffs. We know that the Western Conference is going to be fairly deep, and they are going to need this depth to come through because, there's going to be injuries that change the course of the year. Jacks, not great on offense last year with Spoelstra, but they could improve with Jaylen Brown, I think, with a big scorer like that. All right, the New York City Slickers. You guys know the drill here for New York. 4 extremely strong starters, and then Nick Claxton at center. They've always been trying to figure out that center situation. They started with the franchise with Looney as their center, and hasn't gotten too much better on that front. DJ Hard, 14 minutes. I'd love to know what DJ stands for because I have a feeling that I know what it stands for, but this is a family show and I'm not going to talk about that. All right, John Morant and Luka Doncic, the story again for Kansas City. They are also going to start Anunoby, Tayshaun, and Hartenstein. Ike Anigbogu off the bench. Oliver Grimes, kind of the offensive guy, sliding in there as well at 22 minutes. DeAndre Jones could be a factor off the bench for this team. Gafford not getting a lot of minutes. Maybe Gafford needs some more, but they're going to just give it to the rookie and the custom recruit, custom recruit bias for Myron Bones. Okay, DJ Webb, a guy that saw an upgrade in XBA 2. He picked up 5 points overall in XBA 2, and now that's good enough to be the starting point guard for the Supernovas, and they're going to have to roll with Otto Porter at power forward. Losing John Collins, they get Karis LeVert at small forward for some three-pointers. Cameron Ranger can play power forward, so he's going to get some minutes there for sure. I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of a small ball situation going on for SoCal. They might need a backup center. I mean, they got Brady Dye, but they're going to have some trouble rebounding, I feel like, unless they address that and figure something out. All right, Tampa Bay Sting. I like what Tampa Bay's got going on here. Again, a deep, about 8 players deep, I'd say. I mean, with the Kobo as an 80, Gallinari sitting there as well. Laterman, the second-round pick, going to get some minutes there as well. And Draymond Green still there. Serge Ibaka's still there as well. Tampa Bay, I think they're going to have a nice mix of defense and offensive skill there. Honolulu Riptide, your last year's Western Conference champions. Trae Young leading the way, obviously. Orlando champion at a 79 right now. Justice Winslow, Lewis, and Noel. So not much has changed there, except for the addition of Eric Bledsoe at a 78 overall. So Bledsoe is going to bring some veteran moxie to this point guard room here, class. Maverick Blitz getting a few minutes there. Custom recruit bias for Maverick Blitz. New York Neon, that's a team that I got a good feeling about this year. I don't know how confident I am in that, but I want to see this guy, Kari Lyons. I want to see what he's going to bring to the table, filling in at small forward. Tobias Harris will slide over to power forward, and then the addition of Andre Drummond in free agency will move Collins to the bench. So your top 3 bench guys on this team, really good. Conley, Collins, Kemerly. We know what Crowder can do. He's obviously been around the block. Bench players not getting a lot of minutes on this team. It's going to be a starter-heavy rotation for New York. Denver Summit, I feel like, project to be one of the best teams in this league this year. James Wiseman coming along very well. He will sign with Denver from Baltimore. Losing Markkanen, they'll have Rhymes Porter at power forward this year. So, I mean, Rhymes Porter is a stud. We know what he is capable of. And I think he could be an all-star. Could be maybe like a third team, all XBA, something like that. Like what we have going on in Denver, play tough defense. And now they can score with Sal Boss as well. Kentucky Colliers, former XBA champions. They still have that nucleus there with Garland, Parker, Davis, Savage, Davis. And they've been drafting pretty nicely too, adding guys like Paxson to the mix as well. Maybe towards the bottom, I don't know. We're talking about Andre Joyner. They still believe in Andre Joyner. He's at a 75. Mark Edouard coming up from Cincinnati. Pluto Von Prado got a few minutes last year. Custom recruit bias, getting some minutes over Markieff Morris. Now, one of the XBA favorites, a team that missed the playoffs by, I think, 1 or 2 games last year. They're looking at Argata, Lillard, Klay Thompson, and Kawhi Leonard. So Kawhi is going to play the power forward position. Klay Thompson playing the small forward position. So maybe guys playing a little bit out of position on this team. Maybe that is their problem. I don't know. But if you get those 3 guys on the court at the same time, I don't see how this team misses the playoffs again. Obviously, they did not have Klay Thompson last year. But I think with that addition and that offensive prowess, I think they got a good deal. Jackson Jordan, we'll find a way to give him some minutes over the course of the year. All right, looking at Detroit, Russell Beal, Ingram, Toppin, and Head with Machado Rainford as the 6th guy. Monte Morris, point guard. A lot of guards on this team. Detroit was really bad last year, but we got to see how the new additions, Machado Rainford and Brandon Ingram, do for this team. Not the greatest depth at center. Kelly Olynyk going to get some minutes there, obviously, along with OJ Cooper. Brownie Baker. They do have John Henson, so if they need a specialist kind of sub at center, Henson might pick up some minutes over the course of the year. Montreal Gatiques, team that played very well last year. Definitely made a push in the regular season. Trevor Kelly is a guy. He's one of the original XBA2 call-ups there. He's now up to an 81. He's a tenacious rebounder at point guard, so we like that, obviously. Evan Fournier can score for these guys. Jackson Gordon, James Heath coming on the bench as well. Ronan Laderman, we got to give him some minutes. Might have been an oversight on my end there. Yeah, Gary Harris, I don't know. No minutes for Gary Harris. We'll see how Laderman plays coming up from XBA 2. High risers, the top draft pick. Hopefully he'll play well, maybe get some more minutes as the year progresses. Alaska Chill, they're going to throw Sakura to the Wolves, okay? Their top pick at point guard. Losing Gilgeous Alexander, in steps Sakura. And obviously with Dennis Schroeder and Jackson Onuaku, there's going to be a battle there to find out who is the most competent point guard for this team. But they're getting some minutes, though, sharing some minutes. They're hoping Sakura will be the long-term answer, but it's an Alaska team. Theo Starkman might need some minutes there, too, with Mark Knott. But it's a deep bench, so those guys are going to have to fight for their minutes. Here's a team that I think could be a sleeper. Obviously, Houston, not a team that gets a ton of love. Maybe it's the jerseys. Maybe it's just the team design. I don't know, but a team that doesn't get a ton of attention. Very deep, actually. Dylan Windler can hit some threes. They signed Bertans from free agency. Will Carr is kind of coming into his own a little bit now. He's getting a lot of minutes off the bench for this team. Last year, I mean, he got 5.6 a game, 6'10", can play power forward as well. And then Noah Wingate was very big. He came up from XBA 2 San Antonio. Connor Stevens was a steal draft pick for them. And then Perry Jackson, still at a 75. You see his minutes decreasing. I feel like Houston's starting to give up on Perry Jackson. They threw him in the expansion draft, and Cincinnati didn't want him. So Jackson's got some stuff to prove there. Might need a year in XBA 2, I don't know. Kendrick going to start at shooting guard for Wisconsin. They want to give him some significant minutes. And TJ Giffey as well, very productive guy at small forward. Obviously, this team will be missing Jaylen Brown, so that might be the difference, I think, between Wisconsin competing for the playoffs and missing. I don't think Wisconsin's going to be a factor this year, possibly next year. And another team that I don't project to be a factor is Jacksonville. You see Sylvester Forbes and Magnus Peterson in the starting lineup and Boris Sutton with 24 minutes a game. We're a little young. We're a little raw right there for Jacksonville, and it's going to be up to Steph Curry to shoulder this team. And we're going to see if Curry, this is the last year of his contract, he might be a guy that Jacksonville is looking to move. Jacksonville, it's been the story, have not been drafting that well. The Wingate selection is kind of the one that sticks out, but it hasn't been great. All right, Phoenix Monsters. Murray, Booker, Middleton, Gregory, Adebayo. It's a team that won the championship 2 years ago, and it's basically the same team, except for Murray and Lonzo Ball. So they're going to add Kyle Lowry through free agency, but other than that, not too much has changed. Silas Meissner, they want to see what he can do. I liked his shooting ability for the high risers. Definitely stood out. Oba Olawale, I still need to import his XBA 2 DNA. He should be a 73. Might get some minutes this year for Phoenix. Last year he rode the pine, but San Diego Cyclones, interesting team. They're going to be playing small ball, though, all right? We got Westbrook, Hudson. St. Patrick has some size to him. He's about the same size as Basley. And Kevin Looney is going to have to step in and start at center for San Diego. I don't know how that project's going to work out. And, I mean, as you look down here, we don't really see a good backup big man outside of TJ Leaf, who I believe is 6'11". Zapata, not that big either, one of those Euro guys. So this is a team that definitely needs to acquire a big man near the trade deadline, or maybe call up whoever you got there in Tucson, because I don't know if the small ball thing might work. Maybe it doesn't. They're going to have to score, though. All right, the California Dragons, Jin Hao is going to push Hassan Whiteside to the bench, although they're still going to receive similar minutes. Pirtle not getting any minutes right now in this rotation. Dragons like what they have with Jin Hao. Going to see how he performs. See if he can handle this level of play. Joseph Jones called up from XBA 2 Boise, and he saw a huge increase. One of the best players in XBA 2 last year, getting 77 minutes a game. Thiago Da Silva was the last European created free agent. We'll see what he can do at shooting guard. San Jose Cyborgs, a team that missed the playoffs for the first time last year after making it 3 consecutive years. Wendell Carter's going to move to power forward, Vucevic at center, and Love will go to that 6th-man role. You got to like their front court here. Robinson, Earl, and Bassie also coming up very well. Jack King is a big-time guy from XBA too, so he progressed quite a bit. Hiram Hemsworth, he's going to have something to say about that starting point guard role. San Jose is going to see who plays better. It's really between Versace and Hemsworth, and Jack Keane can also play point guard. So they got a couple options at that spot. James Tashy has been one of the assist leaders every year since he has gotten that starting role for the Martians. And then obviously adding Collins and moving Porzingis to center. Very good situation here. I feel like for Seattle, they were a little bit short on big men last year, and obviously they've addressed that. The trading for DeMarcus Cousins last year, obviously he's on his last legs, and then acquiring Collins. So the Martians will kind of get that going. DJ Hilliard, they're going to need him to be good as well. Pluto Pierre can shift over to small forward as well, and he'll get some minutes off the bench. All right, El Paso Peppers. This could be a little bit misleading, guys. You look at this starting lineup. You got Merrick at 75, Nico 79, and Aldridge is going to lose a couple points moving from power forward to center. But with the Peppers losing Ayton, they're going to need a guy like Rico Bordone or Zhao Qi, who was called up from XBA 2 Albuquerque. Costas can play center, and they have Taco Fall. So they got a couple options at center, but how you replace DeAndre Ayton, I don't know. However, I will say that the Peppers have a very unique mix that has really worked out for them over these 4 years. They've been a playoff team 3 times. Missing Ayton, we'll figure out what happens. All right, the Washington Founders, a team that really struggled the first 3 years of the series, they have turned things around. They've got their coach, Coach Sobchak, made some savvy moves, acquired a lot of talent through free agency and the draft. Like guys like Brandon Clark, going to be a very good option off the bench. They've drafted very well. So Washington, definitely one of the Eastern Conference favorites. So just looking at the teams, I mean, if you look at, I'm just trying to piece this thing all together, guys. I'm just trying to think. I think it's going to be a wild year. I don't think it's going to totally go chalk. I mean, I look at teams like Detroit, Wisconsin, New York, a team like Toronto. I feel like they have what it takes to make the playoffs this year. Teams that missed, Tampa Bay as well. I feel like Tampa Bay could be a dark horse. Atlanta, I think, is a good bet, maybe for the 1 seed. I'm not sure, though. Miami is a team that really stands out. Carolina with the rebuilds. Pittsburgh's always around there, so I don't know. Eastern Conference is tough. I do feel like the Miami Night Owls and New York City Slickers could be a couple of the major players in this conference this year, with Malik Jones on the one hand, on the other hand, Tatum Mitchell. I think that might finally pan out. And then you look at the Western Conference, it's very stacked top to bottom. You look at a team like California that really struggled last year. They might have what it takes. I like Seattle. I like Houston. Phoenix missed the playoffs last year. Phoenix is good enough to win the championship. The Jacks are good enough to win the championship. St. Louis, I haven't talked about St. Louis very much. They could be a dark horse. I think Houston, though, is my dark horse. And obviously New Orleans. You have to focus on the Neptunes with those 3 stars on their team. Maybe towards the back end of their careers, but 3 stars nonetheless. All right, here's my prediction. I'm going to take the 1-8 Columbus, Pittsburgh. I'm going to say New York, Chicago, Miami, Tampa, Washington, Philly. So those are my playoff picks. I wasn't feeling that adventurous. I will take Miami as the Eastern Conference champions, though. All right, moving over to the Western Conference. Obviously, nobody cares about my prediction. I got Denver, LA, New Orleans, San Jose, Honolulu, Nashville, Phoenix, and Houston. Those are my picks. Obviously, Houston being the big sleeper there. I'm not counting out Honolulu at all, but I will take New Orleans. I will take the Neptunes. Might be an injury midseason, but I think they'll figure it out by the time the playoffs roll around. That's why I got them as the 4 seed. Give me Miami, New Orleans in the championship round. Looking at some of these games here, you got Nashville and Detroit in the opener, and you guys see the real opening tip-off games here the next day. We'll see a few of these games. I'm excited to get this show on the road, guys. Obviously, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay will be one of those games that we check out. Gotta see what the Chili Dogs are bringing to the table. So, guys, I hope you like this episode. Got to clear the deck. Got to get everybody on the same page so they know who's who's on what team, what we have going on looking into year number 5. We'll go pretty fast in year number 5, faster, obviously, than we have been in terms of games per episode. Let me know what you guys think. Leave it in the comments who you think will have a big year. Is your team primed to do well? Like, if you're a Vancouver fan, is this the year that you shock the world? If you're a Detroit fan, are they finally going to get it together and win some games? Houston, sleeper. Give me a sleeper out there, guys. All right, we'll see you in the next episode, the year 5 tip-off. It will be here. Peace.